So we're gonna do our next one, and it's a coffee mug with some lace and wood. And don't get overwhelmed. What we're not gonna do is we're not gonna do this stuff in here. We're gonna do this in another painting. This is just too intricate, and I would never transfer this using carbon paper because we'll just lose our place too often. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna do the wood over here, interpret the wood as we see it. Okay. The cup here is, the exercise here is for the three-dimensionality, that what I refer to as, it's not me, it's Leonardo da Vinci, but sfumato, I think is how it's pronounced. And it's a texturing, a gradation, where you get that three-dimensionality shape. And we're going to accent this a little bit more. And I've got a black and white of it, which doesn't really look that much difference because there's not a lot of color in here. So we'll stick to that. Just gonna put that there, but we're gonna start over the value sketch. So first things first, I'm using a 2H. I'm just gonna draw my square using my template. Okay, and then I'm gonna kind of just sketch this guy in. Okay, and again, this sort of sketching is, I like doing this because it always improves my drawing skills, and it doesn't have to be perfect. So we're going to just kind of go on with our table as something like this. Okay, right, and then up a little bit higher. Okay, and then our mug comes in. I'm going to do that here. And, you know, I'll do some measurement. You know, I just want to get a proportion. So it's the mug at its base is about 2 1/4 by 3. Okay, so let's say we start out here, and it's actually probably a little closer to the top here, so to this area here. But don't worry, we can fix that. Okay, and then I'm just going to go up a line like that. We're going to move it over a little bit more. Okay. Let me just see. I think that's about right. And it's wider at the base. So I'm going to go out a little bit. Don't worry, I'll put the handle in. It dips, curves in too much there, so let's just correct this a little bit. Right. This guy here. Something like that. Just clean up this curve. Clean up this curve. Okay. And then our cloth goes through here, and it comes down like this, because we're not going to do the lace, remember? Comes up over here, right, and ends. So let me get rid of this. And again, every time you do these little drawings, they don't have to be perfect, but it just keeps improving on your drawing skills. So as this guy goes here, right, he comes in, and just a little bit out from the mug, he goes down. Right, and then back up. Okay, so we'll erase all this in here. right? And this kind of just goes across here as a fold, and there's a fold in here, okay? And then the table goes on like this, okay? So now you can see what's inaccurate here already. This here is down too far, okay? It should be up, or actually more like this. This guy is actually more like this. Okay, and this doesn't exist. It's more kind of like that. Right, and then we got this. Okay. Now it looks a little bit more proportionate as far as the height that it goes up. Now, for the value sketch, right? Let's just jump over to our black and white. Okay. And we're just going to start toning in here. Right. I might switch over to the B in a minute. Fort B is a bit dark. Okay. Now what I want to do is I want to it's a little windy outside. I got my windows open because it's fall. It's just starting to be fall. It's like the first week of September. Man, it just smells beautiful out there. I collect wind chimes. I've got them all over my yard, so I get different sounds wherever I am in the house. So if you hear those, that's what they are. Okay, now I'm going to come in here and do this. And don't worry, we'll erase our highlights. And I'm just putting some graphite down that I can smooth out in here. Let's see here. Now you can see under the lip here, it's real dark along this. So it starts out like this. And it comes out. And then it gets thin again in here. Okay, let's blend this a little more. Yeah, it's a little bit too dark. And I'm using the eraser to blend. I'm not going to do the black background for this. This is just kind of get a sense of the mug itself, okay? And then I want to just kind of create where these curves are, right? Now I could use a white pencil to come in here and put white in here, but I'm not gonna. I'm just gonna erase it out. So we've got, let's see if it even shows up. We've got like a little bit of white reflection there. Okay. That looks pretty good as far as like thinking I got a sense of like how it's gonna curve. This is still too dark. I can lift that. It's just I have a 4B lead that I went to and it's much darker. That's better. Okay. Now, we're going to do our image transfer, right? So we're going to take this here, here. I'm going to grab our carbon. And I'm going to use a ballpoint pen because I think it acts a little more like a burnishing tool when I do this. So now I'm gonna just put like a line here we're gonna mask, and then we'll erase that line. And there's a mask highlight there. There's a mask highlight here. There's a mask highlight here. There's like a dark ridge here, and we're gonna mask this. this goes over like that. And we got a highlight here, a highlight here. Our table goes out here, our table goes out here. We'll have a little fun with this wood, okay? And we're going to assume the table goes here because we're not doing the lace. We got a highlight here, okay? I think we're good. Let's take a look at the carbon. Yeah, good. A little bit dark lines, we can lift those, not a big deal. I got my little line here. We're good. Okay. Okay. I'm just going to put a barrier around some of this. You don't have to do this. Okay, what we're going to do is mask now. So let's pull this guy out. And we're going to come in here. As I'm sitting here thinking, I'm going to do this as a cream color mug, so I'm probably going to mix like a light brownish, one of the earth tones. With something. I'm going to lighten it up. I'm not sure yet. Okay, and then this lip here is all one smooth line all the way over to here. Okay, we got a little bit down here. Now, I'm not going to do the pattern in here, okay? I think that's good. So we'll let this dry. Okay, I'm going to go for my beige color, or somewhat like that. Let's see here. I'm going to go with Indian yellow. See, I'm going to go with a little bit of burnt umber. Oh, maybe I need more. Yeah. Okay, there we go. Let me put a little bit of blue into it. Yeah, there we go. I like that. Now I'm just gonna I'm gonna use a lot of water. Okay, so let me get a paper towel. Clean water. just going to lift a little bit of the water out of here. Okay. Now let's come in here and do this. Okay, that's a nice kind of tan. Now, I want to get this evened out, so I'm going to come in here with this guy. Okay, we will let that dry. Okay, let's come in here and do our next glaze. Okay, now this we're going to keep light. We don't really need to do much here, but I'm still going to put water in here because I'm going to gradiate it. We're going to leave the handle alone for a moment. Come back up here, wet this up. I'm going to get a bigger brush because I want to get more pigment, more paint up here. Okay. It's basically burnt umber, Indian yellow, and just a little bit of cerulean blue. Okay. I'm going to the black and white to just get that gradation in there. Don't worry about getting over in here because if you miss a little bit, only because that's all going to be black. kind of blending in. Okay, we will let this layer dry. And come back. Okay, we're going to come in here and put in another layer just along this edge here and smooth it out. I'm going to soften that edge up in a second. This edge here. I just wet my brush. So I got a little bit of a wet brush. It's kind of damp because I hit the napkin first. I'm going to just keep dragging this out a little bit. I'm actually going to dilute this and bring this over. I want to darken this up a little bit. Only because I want the highlights to stand out. I'm just painting in this shadow or, darker area here. I'm going to smooth this edge out. We're going to lighten this up. And you notice there's same sort of darkness right over in here. Okay, that's looking pretty good. Okay, we're going to let this dry. Okay. I want to start working on this, the cloth. Extend that through here. Okay, and we got a fold coming off of here. Goes out here, and we got a fold here. And we got a fold here. Okay, so let's mask a few highlights. Just because I don't want to mess it up with the black or the edge. I'm going for this guy here. Just thinking. Yeah, I'm going to do a highlight here. That's good. We'll let those two dry, and then I'm going to go in and start doing this. Okay, let's see here. We're going to come in and gray this. So in order to do my grays, I'm going to grab this guy, and I use Daniel Smith's neutral tint. Okay, so I'm just going to put a little bit there. Okay. And then I'm going to, hang on. Okay. We're going to take this eyedropper, whatever you want to use. This is a batiking bottle. I think you can find them at any art store. And I'm going to make 3 shades of gray. Okay. That's my puppy. Okay. Now, whoops. Let me get some clean water. Pick up some of that on my brush. Come over here. I'm going to make this one as dark as I can, and then I'm going to keep graying down a little bit. Is the lightest gray, and then we'll just test this real quick. Don't worry about that. Okay, this is our darkest, or should be. This is our next one. Okay, that's good. And then this should be our lightest. Okay, and that's pretty light. I'm going to add a little more darkness to this one, just a little bit. Okay, okay, I'm feeling good. Okay, now let's rinse this off. And I'm going to go with my lightest. Okay, so here again in the picture, this is kind of real white over in here, and then this is kind of real white over in here and kind of up through here. So what I'm going to do is preserve these. Okay. And then kind of come over here. I'm just going to stay away from this. And then up through here. Now I use that. The carbon came down really rough, so I'm going to see if I can't lift some of this. I'm just going to use a kneaded eraser. just don't want this dark. Okay, that's a bit lighter. And what will happen is the darker background will come right up to that edge. Okay. Let's put these lines back in. I'm just going to avoid these areas, or try to. So let me wet my paper first. Oops, that's my big brush. Also, this will keep the flow. I'm going to come over here. This will keep the flow from going over to those areas that I just said I don't want to go near. And we're going to talk about this area here in a minute. Okay. So there's like a dark, and then a light, and then dark. So we're going to leave this centerpiece out. So let's come in here and put in our first layer. Just very light. Sorry, that's my puppy. He's not upset. The other puppy's got a bone. I got 2 Boston Terriers. And the older one's 12, and he is not happy that she took his bone. I'll have to deal with that while this dries. Okay, and I don't mind that I got the gray in here, but we can lift that later. It's not a big deal. Okay, so let's just go and let that dry. Okay, I'm going to come in and do another, see this area right here stays white. This is a lighter gray. That's the gray wash I put down. I'm not going to put the darker wash in here. I'm going to put a little bit of a wash along here to catch that edge, and a little bit of wash in here. Okay. And on the edges. So let's see here. Let's go and let's go with this a little bit. Okay, and I might want to water this down. This may be too dark. Oh, doesn't look it. Okay. We're also going to put this gray over the mug, a layer of it. It's a transparent gray. To take a look, to mute some of that, the orangish brown, because the mug is actually like a beige. It's not white. I drink out of it all the time. Okay, so this comes down like this, and abruptly ends at the piece that's coming over here. Okay, because this is a hard line. Okay, and then comes in. gonna soften this edge and gradient it. Get a gradient coming down. Okay. So I get that gradient, get the sense of that fold. And I'll use the lightest gray over here to do the same thing. Okay. Now let's do this. Actually, I'm going to do water first, because I want to do the same gradation sort of thing in here. Just want to let that dry just a little bit. It's a little bit too wet. Like you see, I got this bloom here. Now while it's damp, let's just work it out. And what happened is, because the water came through and hit the wet, I wasn't paying attention. That's okay, we'll let that dry. Okay? And then we'll come in with a gray. We'll be fine, because we got the hard edges out. Okay, it's just the water pulled into the color. So I'm just going to let that dry a little bit, and I'll be right back, and I'll fix that bloom. Okay. I'm just going to try to wet this up and lift it up, and I'll put my gray back in. Okay. Come in here with my medium gray. Yeah, there we go. Just need to get a little bit more gray in here. Okay, now let's gradiate that out. Just get a semi-thirsty brush. So you see I dip it in the water and then I hit my rag a little bit so it's not soaking wet. Okay. Okay, very good. Yeah, I might get this shadow coming down here. Okay, that looks good. Now this is still a little damp, so I'm going to do the gray now over this. Don't worry that I missed here. I mean, I can grab it there. Now be careful down here because I'm trying to avoid getting a bloom again. If I were smart, I would have just let the bottom dry. But I think I'll be okay. If I see it start to bloom, I'll touch it. Okay, there we go. That kind of tones it down just a little bit. What I want to do is I want to smooth out. You see that black line going across here? I just want to smooth this out. It's not really doing it, but that's okay. We'll come back and maybe do another layer. Very good. Okay, let's see here. Okay, because we're not doing the lace in here, I'm going to come in and do a darker brown. And for that, I'm going to do a burnt umber. Okay. Don't worry, I'll lift that out. And when this dries, I'll lift these little up because this is a pretty liftable paint. Okay, I put down some tape because I want to get a little harder edge in here. And like I said, I'm going to come in here with my lifting brush and just get rid of this little thing here. This little overlap. You probably may not be able to see it, but I got a little bit that went over the line, and I just want to lift that out. Perfect. Okay. So let's just come down here with this brush. I'm just going to push this down, make sure it's down. Okay. Just want to lift the overlap here out too, where it came into here a little bit. Like I said, this is very easy lifting paint. It's not a staining. Okay. I'm going to put another layer of gray down in here. So I want to get it really dark on this edge here. I want to get this a lot darker. Notice how it's really dark here. It's got some reflection of the white here, which is fine. That's what that mask is for. And when I do the black, I'm going to mask this. Much better. Okay, now that's okay, I like that. And then I'll come in here and get this little dark area that's in here. And same thing with the one up here. Okay. There, that looks really good. And then I want to do the same thing down here. Just drop a little bit over in here. I know it's too dark. Just a minute. Yeah, that looks good. And then we're going to do the same thing just along the edge here. Okay. I like that. I'm going to let that dry. I'm going to come back and do a little more on the grays. I'm going to come in here with another layer. In fact, I can do that now. Okay. Oh, let's let that dry. I'm feeling pretty good about the mug, so I want to do the black background. And I'm going to use this masking tape. This masking tape is really good. It's called Nichiban. That's Nichiban, and you just have to Google it, where to get it from. The reason I like it is, now when I pull it up, it'll probably pull up the masking fluid, which is completely fine. Okay, but it does not let paint in under the edges, which is fantastic. That way I don't have to worry about my black. Okay. I'm just going to push it down really good, make sure it's got everything. I'm going to come in and granted, I'm not doing black over here, but okay, I finished removing the mask around this, and I also put some mask around the edge here and then along here. Okay, now we'll go and do the black. And for the black, I use McCracken Black, okay, by Daniel Smith, and I make this as well because I took a class with him. So let me just put some in there. And I'm gonna use this brush and just wet the paper. Oh, there's some blue on that brush, but that's okay. It's gonna get covered in black. I think my brush soap had a little blue in it and it picked it up on this brush when I was cleaning it. Okay, and I gotta cut that thing out here, so let's let that just get wet. Get another paper towel. Okay, I've cut the piece out of here, I've wet the paper, and now I'm gonna start going in with the black. A little water into it. And I'm painting away from the mask because I don't want to have things, even though it's as tight as I say it is, I don't want to like be jamming underneath it. So I just figure it's safer pulling away. And I'm going to go over it with the brushes, the wash brushes in a minute to kind of get an even texture. Right now I'm just trying to get the paint down. And that cut isn't perfect, so we're going to be smoothing this out later. Meaning the shape wasn't, you know. And we'll do several layers of black. Don't worry, we're going to do a couple layers. So I just want to get that paint more evenly distributed. Okay. And we'll let that dry. Okay, I'm going to put another layer of black in. Okay, I've finished doing that. Now I'm just taking my damp, not very damp, just slightly damp brush. Okay, and I'm dragging it across. I'm just trying to break up those brush strokes. Okay. And then we'll let this layer dry. I'll probably maybe put one more and we'll just see how it dries. I think I'm going to put one layer down more because it's a little light over here. So, let's see here. And I'm going to use the wash brush again to smooth all this out. Just going to get a little damp and just drag it back over this. Okay, and rinse that off. And then we'll let this dry and we should be good. Okay, let's lift the masking here. Oh, look at that, I went outside the lines. And we're gonna have to do some cleanup, I guarantee it. Maybe not as much as I thought. Yeah, probably a little in the handle. Yeah. Easy enough. We'll just take our dry brush, our lifting brush, come in here and fix that. Let's see here, where are you? That's our lifting brush. It's just a rosemary, it's called the Eradicator. Turn this around. And if I have to, I'll mask and really get in there, but I don't think I'm going to have to. Oops, don't want to do that. I don't want to get outside the black area. I may just have to let that dry first, but we'll see. I'll clean it up. We'll clean it up when we come back. I just gotta let it dry. Okay. But it's coming along. It's looking pretty good. Okay, I'm actually kind of liking this. The black in here, okay, if you look, it's kind of dark in here. It's kind of a little darker in here, and it's got some darkness coming around here, which I have to put back in anyways, and it kind of looks pretty good. So let's play with that. I mean, obviously I can't have it that dark. So... this little spot over here. Okay. Okay. What I want to do is I want to get some darkness in this curve. Okay, so let's come in here with this. Glad I didn't use the black. Okay, that's looking pretty good. Now, I want to get a little bit of a drop shadow underneath this guy here. let's just spread this out. Yeah, how's that look? That's looking pretty good. Okay, now I'm gonna mask this off when this dries, and then I'll cut it out and I'll put a mask across here because we'll paint this, and then we'll make this down here black. Okay, I've taped this area off. I mean, masked this area off. Got my line in here. I'm just pushing down extra on these. I'm lifting the table up a bit because I just want to try something. And I'm going to go with a different color that'll complement that, I think. And that's just, I'm going to go with some raw sienna to start out with. Yeah, let me do this too. Notice I paint away from the tape just to be a little extra careful. I'm going to do some dry brushing on this surface, maybe put some cracks into it, give that wood some texture. It's not in the original, but well, actually it sort of is. So let's just let that dry. Okay, let's put some texture in this with a smaller brush. I'm just going to try to dry brush some stuff in here. Okay, now let me try something here. Don't worry, we'll come back to that later. Okay. I think that that's good. And now what we're going to do is we're going to move this to here. push it down. I'm going to take a piece of my super duper masking tape. Really push this down. Okay. I'm going to do this black in here. Okay. And I'm going to do this because I'm not going to paint all the way down to the bottom. I'll give it a border. Okay, now let's wet this guy up. Remember painting away from the tape. I don't want any seepage if possible. Okay, and we will, let me just put it a little thicker over here. Okay, and we'll let that layer dry and come back. Okay, let's see here. We've done the black. This is masked. I'm going to lift the masking tape now. Oh, look at that. That looks really good. Got some edges to fix up here. That's okay. I'm going to just finish on my little impromptu crack here. Something a little darker than that. I'm just taking a little burnt umber and raw umber. I'll add some black. I might add a highlight in there in a minute, but let me just come up here. Yeah, that looks good. And you can't really see it, but there's little whites in here. Let me do this. You see the whites now in here, okay? I'm gonna lift the tape in a minute. I'm going to put that shadow a little more in because it got lifted. It's just under here. I mean, it didn't go in as dark as I wanted it to. There, I like that. It's just underneath here. And it comes in. That's better. And I'll put one under here. Okay, let's lift our masking fluid. Sorry, couldn't find my eraser. We'll smooth these out, right, because they're just way too bright. Clean water for this. I'm going to add a little color into here too. Yeah, let's get that. Okay, I'm kind of liking that. Get that out of there. Let me just do a little bit of this. I'm just using my original, the burnt umber, the original mix that was in here. And I'm going to water it way down. And just smooth it out a little bit. got a little bit of yellow bleed over into this white. That's not a big deal. It'll come right up. Okay. Okay, and then I'm going to just fix a couple of these little black things. Pretty good. I think I'm just going to let it dry. Let's see what it looks like. Yeah, I'm feeling pretty good about that. I might want to just tweak a little bit more here, but I think I'm okay. Let's just see how it dries. And we are finished. The only thing left to do is put a signature in. Again, that's pretty easy. The only issue here is the bottom of the painting is black. So let's see what we can do. I'm just going to grab some indigo and I'm just going to put it here. There. And we're done.